Hi everybody, this is On and I'm coming to you with the monthly video. Hopefully this is going to work out okay because I'm not using my regular camera on things. But I'm out on the breakwaters in Maine. I can kind of turn around here and you can see ocean everywhere. Straight back at the end there's a lighthouse actually, and the coastline there, so it's pretty awesome. But I wanted to talk this month about self-care. And self-care is really, really important, especially as we head into the holidays. And it's important any time of the year, but especially as we go into the holidays. And it's one of those things that we don't realize what a big impact it has. And oftentimes we think, wow, isn't this a time that, when we look at self-care, doesn't that mean that you got to spend a lot of money and you're doing all kinds of things for yourself, and it sounds great, but what about those of us that maybe don't have a lot of money or don't have a lot of time or things like that? And it doesn't have to take a lot of time. That's the really cool thing. Now, self-care is one of those pieces that it connects both to our ability to succeed through finishing things, through completing things, through sustained effort. And it also is about relieving our victim patterns. And I think that's something that a lot of people could use in these days and times, and especially as the holidays come on and things get busier and a little bit crazier in the world and things like that right now, that really self-care is about freedom in a lot of ways. And isn't that interesting that that particular piece would come up? Because freedom is really about the rewards that we get from being responsible, from making our own choices, from making ourselves into a position where we don't have to rely on others to tell us what to do because we're building enough wisdom to figure it out for ourselves. But the self-care piece is really critical. As a matter of fact, I'm out taking some time this few days here to just a couple of days to do a little of my own self-care. And I've got to shift a little bit here. I'm sorry about that. And yes, sometimes, when we have the resources and the money, it means, maybe doing some body care or things like that that you need to get out, get massage work done, whatever. But a lot of times, self-care is about just simply taking time for ourselves. It's the aspect of a little bit of stillness, a little bit of quiet. And this time of year, I think that's so powerful because we are in a point where we are just giving so much time to everybody else. And not that that's a bad thing by any means, because sure, it's important to help people. It's important to be attentive, especially with the holidays. I think it's so important that we're sharing time together and that we're able to connect with people as we can. Family becomes very important for a lot of people. But you cannot neglect yourself in that process. And I think that that's what's so important, is that people oftentimes neglect themselves in this process. And especially when things are hectic, especially when people are feeling challenged in the physical world, the self-care becomes critical. And again, it doesn't have to cost the money. It doesn't have to be all kinds of special things. It can simply be just taking a night to maybe throw a jacket on because it's a little cooler, get a cup of hot chocolate, and sit out and look at the stars and look at the what's happening in the skies and the asteroids and whatever else is happening this time of year when it gets really cold up here. Sometimes in a couple of months you can see the northern lights or things like that. And these are the things that are really critical. They don't cost much. They don't require a whole much. And sometimes even when I'm doing some self-care, it's just about even lighting a candle. It's just sitting there and lighting a candle and being still for a moment and just being fully present with myself. And this is part of building a relationship between the soul self and the human self. It is part of working together. It might be, get a long hot bath. It could be all kinds of things. But it doesn't have to be expensive things. It's just about giving yourself time. And so when we give ourselves this time, what we're really doing is we're setting ourselves up to enjoy some amazing pieces, some amazing experiences that are, you know, opening up the victory energy in our code patterns, opening up the victory energy, not even just for ourselves, but for the collective. Because remember, every time you work on yourself, you are working on the collective as well. And, when you look at that and you combine it with being able to release victim spaces and victim patterns and those sorts of things, then this becomes a really, really powerful piece, because I think especially in these days, I see a lot of people in victim patterns, and some of them would not even consider themselves as being in a victim pattern, but they're living under a lot of fear, they're living under a lot of anxiety, they're living under a lot of uncertainty, and these can be hidden or subtle patterns that we might be dealing with them very, very well, and so we might not even notice them. We might not even notice that we're in those spaces. So I think that this becomes very, very important and very, very critical for us to consider and to keep in mind along the way. And I really hope that all of you will take some of that time, that you'll take that time to get out or just be still, have your moments, go for a walk, like I'm doing now, go for a walk, give yourself a little self-care, give yourself a little time out, because one thing I realize is that it's really easy for me not to do it. It's really easy for me to justify that I don't have time, that I can't do it, that I can't get to it, that there's not enough money. There's always these justifications, but when I do that, I'm suffocating myself. I'm suffocating my human self, and I'm suffocating a lot of things, and I'm placing myself into harder aspects of life that I don't need to be in, that I don't have to be in. So small amounts of self-care can be incredibly powerful, incredibly shifting in your life, and that can just even be a few seconds here, 5 minutes at the end of the night. But that self-care is critical, because without it, that's where we break down. Our bodies break down, our minds break down, our hearts break down, and it becomes harder to cope with things. So when you look at the big scheme of things, it's really worth 5 minutes here or there, 10 minutes here or there, or even 2 days. If you are willing to allow yourself a couple of days to disconnect and not spend it online with everybody else. And again, I know this is hard, but sometimes we just have to honor that. We just have to get out and do that so that we can truly, truly take care of ourselves. And I can speak from experience. There were enough times that Jessie was pushed to the limit and she didn't do it, and she couldn't do it, believed she couldn't do it in certain points, and I'm feeling it in my body as a result of it. Our bodies break down, and sometimes we don't see it for a couple of years. We don't notice the impact of these things always right away. So the busier you are in life, the more hectic your life is, the more it's critical to take this time for yourself. And again, this can come in so many different shapes and forms, but this is when you have this relationship with yourself, and your human self realizes that your soul self is taking care of the body, is taking care of honoring this time and this connection, that they will work together, they will come together in a way that is amazing, and the body will trust the soul self more and more. And as it does that, then the more we can open up on our path, the more that we can break through things that challenge us, and the more that we can work our way through things in there. So this is the video I wanted to share. It's short and sweet this month. I really hope people find a way to have an amazing holiday and to hang in there, because we're all going to get through things. We're all going to get through it, and you're not alone. There are plenty of people out there that are willing to provide support, and of course the Code Journey study sessions is one of the ways I do that for people. And If you haven't gotten a copy of the 2021 book, I encourage you to get it. Go on my website, compassioncodes.com, go to the goods tab, and under that you'll see the code Journey, and that will provide you with all kinds of links as to what kind you want to get, the ebook or the paperback or whatever. But it's awesome. If you haven't checked out the work before, also on there is the link to getting the 2020 ebook version through Smashwords for free, so you can check it out that way and see what it's like. But I want to wish everybody well. I really do hope you're doing it. I was really excited to have these couple of days and to come out here on this day, which is cold, but it's but it's amazing out here before it starts snowing here in Maine, which we're supposed to get within the next week. And just have this chance, because once winter hits, I don't always get these chances to get outside and to do these things recorded that way. So take some time for yourself, even if it's just taking a few breaths, whatever works for you, but just do a little self-care. And again, it doesn't have to be extravagant. It's all about giving yourself some time for you, some time to be in connection between your human and your soul self, and to just realize your own magnificence. And just that small amount, I think you're going to see incredibly wonderful, amazing things come out of that. And isn't it worth it just to get out of the negative mindsets? Isn't it worth it just to make those shifts so that life flows a little bit better and you're not at the mercy of everyone else? Take care, everybody. I'll see you next month.